We have to strike now, sir. Annihilate. Kill. Kill. Kill.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Oh, now you just made it weird. We were having fun until the killing everybody thing.
To answer as to whether morality is relative, we really must begin where all such discussions should begin, which is by defining our terms. And by definition, yes, morality is relative. It's subjective, it's situational, it's tentative. It's, by its very definition, that is what it is. That's what morality means. And that's because morality refers to the mores, which are merely descriptions of that which people do. Okay, on the other hand, we have ethics. Ethics refers to the ethos and our actual prescriptions of that which people ought to do. Now, granted, within our culture, within our common parlance, the terms morality and ethics are generally used interchangeably, or some might say that ethics is a body of morals. But in any regard, technically, those are the differences. The one is a mere description, and the one is a prescription. So, morality refers to whatever people happen to be doing. Whatever they're doing, however it changes, from culture to culture, it changes by definition. On the other hand, ethics are the same in all times and in all places, regardless of chronology, geography, theology, or lack thereof. All people everywhere in all times and places agree on ethics. But how is that? After all, we can give various examples of different cultures believing in different things in different times on the moral realm. Well, yes, that's on the moral realm, on the moral level. Of course, by definition, they differ. But they all agree on the ethics. Now, I myself engaged atheist in debate at Wilfrid Laurier University, and we had a 2-hour debate about morality, and I was actually defending ethics, not morality, but I chose to just use the word morality because I didn't want to turn the debate into one about semantics. So what I did instead is define my terms. During my opening statement, I defined my terms, what I meant when I used the word morality. Something, by the way, which my opponent did not do. And often people who are actually referring to ethics, but for some reason also choose to use the word morality, they might use the term universal morals. And I think that's actually a pretty good option. Regardless, the point is to define your terms, because when people start, particularly in Christian and atheist debates, the atheist will question how it is that a Christian can believe that God has written his laws in our hearts, which would imply universally held morality. Well, it doesn't. It implies ethics. It implies universally held ethics, which is the case. So here's some examples of that. In the Southwest, there's large populations of Native Americans and also large populations of Mexicans with Spanish backgrounds, meaning when the Spaniards came to Mexico, they intermixed with the Mexican natives, and so we have a Mexican population with Spanish background, and then we have a local Native American population. So what has happened quite a few times is, for example, when the Mexicans with the Spanish background, when they want to erect a statue to a conquistador, the Native American community will complain, saying that the conquistadors were villains. While the Mexicans with a Spaniard's background claim that conquistadors were heroic. And so they disagree, you see. On the moral level, they disagree. Same person, one culture sees them as a hero, the other culture sees them as a villain. But notice how they agree on an ethical level. Well, how are they doing that? Well, notice that both cultures agree that heroism is to be praised and villainy is to be condemned. And so while on the moral level they disagree, you can see how on the ethical level they agree completely. Another simple example, consider the Vietnam draft and how some people absconded to Canada to not be drafted. Now this is even within the very same culture, the North American culture. Some of that culture claimed that these people were cowards and that's why they ran away. And another portion of the culture considers them to be brave because they stood up to the man or what have you. So again, on the moral level, they disagree. Some see the same people as brave and others as cowards. But on the ethical level, they agree. Because again, note that they are both agreeing that bravery is to be praised and cowardice is to be condemned. And so whenever you consider such situations, you always want to look for the two levels. You want to look for the moral level and you want to look for the ethical level. So the moral level is just whatever people happen to be doing, whatever they decide is, whatever they decide to term right and wrong, good or bad. On the ethical level, however, they will agree. And this is something to not only keep in mind, but point out as you have such discussions, because defining our terms is really the first step towards having a reasonable dialogue.
You're so wise. But like a miniature Buddha covered in hair.